Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Los Angeles Rams Insider Podcast. I'm your host and beat writer, Brock Vieira. You can check out all of our work at www.si.com/NFL/Rams/on SI, where we drop double digit pieces of content every single day pertaining to the Rams, what's going on this offseason, moves that they could be making, contemplating, so on and so forth. And that's what leads us into today's episode, and that is, of course, the Rams and Kirk Cousins. Here's exactly what we know, what we think is going to happen, and why. So, first off, there is mutual interest on both sides, and I can confirm that. Here's how I know. One, Sean McVay said it out loud like multiple times at the NFL owners' meetings. There's really not much more to say to that. He basically told everyone who wanted to listen he wants Kirk Cousins. It does appear that the boat has sailed on Jimmy Garoppolo, but the Rams are also open to getting Garoppolo back from my general take on it, and this is not confirmed, it's my take, my inference of the situation. The Rams don't really have a preference between the two because they don't really see either guy as a successor for Matthew Stafford. And the reason isn't because of them, is because I don't think there's a general thought that it's for sure that Stafford's going to retire after the season. And I think there's a genuine belief that Stafford's going to play for a while. Like, maybe not that long, but I mean, listen, last year in the offseason, Stafford said he wasn't playing in 2028. I don't know that anymore. I don't know if he knows that anymore. Obviously, he has to make this. Matthew Stafford has to make decisions that make sense for himself, his family, and his future. And that's going to take a lot of time. And situations change. But when you win an MVP, and that like how he did, and when you're getting your guys back, and then when you see your team go out and sign an all pro, or trade for an all pro corner, and then sign another Super Bowl champion cornerback, addressing those needs on defense, are you really going to be able to walk away while all those guys are still under contract? I don't know. And that's why I think for right now, the Rams are approaching this backup situation as a year to year basis as they try to navigate what the future of Matthew Stafford looks like. We also know because of a source close to the NFL told us here Rams on SI that Kirk Cousins wants to be a member of the Rams. The belief is that Kirk Cousins has made a tremendous amount of money throughout his career. And we all know he's not a splashy guy. He's fairly frugal, especially for being an NFL quarterback. It's not about the money for him anymore. It's about what he wants to do for the rest of his career. And he, again, just for the source, he believes that he could excel in Los Angeles under McVay once again. McVay, of course, and Cousins worked together in Washington, and Cousins was was not like he was the original QB1 of the McVay offense who took it to the next level because Robert Griffin III, as he play styles and injuries, and it's the whole thing that why it didn't work out for Griffin. So there's all that experience. And like Cousins has tremendous experience with the offense under Kevin O'Connell and Zach Robinson, so that all makes sense. But for Cousins, and he, according to the source, would be willing to play on a veteran minimum to facilitate this move. The belief is that he wants to do that so he can get assimilated to the system. So in the scenario in which Stafford does leave, he could then become the successor. I don't know right now if Cousins signing is dependent on the likelihood of Stafford leaving. We'll have to wait and see on that. But what we do know is that the mutual interest is there. You can check out all of our written works on this topic, of course, at Rams on SI. So now that we know this for a fact, what will this mean moving forward? To me, this signals three things. One, Jimmy Garoppolo not being likely to return means that there's more than one suitor for him. I thought to myself that it was Arizona again. Negotiations for Garoppolo and Arizona went sideways. Not exactly sure why. Seems like a pretty straight up maneuver, but whatever. They went sideways, but I do think that Mike LaFleur needs a quarterback that has a different type of play style and has more experience in the system than Jacoby Brissett. And that's why I think that the door remains open in Arizona. How open? I don't think it's that open, but I think it's still open. The other job is Pittsburgh. Garoppolo and Pittsburgh would be an interesting pairing as long as Aaron Rodgers doesn't return. If Aaron Rodgers does return, I think Garoppolo then wants to come back to the Rams. because of the lack of certainty and also the lack of a need in the quarterback market, the Rams have some time to kind of figure this out. Especially after we see where we know Fernando Mendoza goes to the Raiders. But where does Ty Simpson go? Right, that's kind of a big question because that could eliminate an option as well. Arizona has ability to go get him. The Jets have an ability to go get him if they want to, you know, have Geno Smith be a bridge quarterback. Steelers could go and get him, even though I don't really see that happening. Would be a very Steelers move, but whatever. For this situation, it just seems like Garoppolo has more options than we're being led onto, and that's where I'll leave it. I'll leave it at that. For Cousins, I already mentioned about the possibility of being Stafford's successor and going on. But for me, I think that there's two reasons why Cousins wants to come to Los Angeles. First off, is he's already embarked on a media career, and it's clear that after he's done playing, he wants to really go full time into media. But we're better to launch that career than Los Angeles. And then for the second part of the equation, even if he doesn't succeed Stafford, you look at the assistant coaches on the Rams. Offensive coordinator Nate Schillhouse, offensive coordinator Dave Ragone, because they share those as co-offensive coordinators. Wide receivers coach, but de facto pass game coordinator Rob Calabrese, Chris Shula, Cliff Kingsbury. All those guys have a high likelihood of either being a head coach or offensive coordinator next season, depending on who they are. Well, they're going to need a quarterback if they go to a situation that doesn't have one in place. If I'm Cousins, I'm looking at that and being like, hey, I might not get an opportunity in Los Angeles, but Los Angeles could set up the opportunity for me to return to being a starting quarterback with one of those guys somewhere else. So I think that's a thought about that's a process right now. For at least that's part of the thought process for Cousins. The last point of why I think that this move is becoming ever more likely as the day goes on is what I said earlier about that vet minimum. Right now, the Rams, I believe, have about 20 million around that area of cap space. You start looking at the draft class and the guys have to sign. That number is going to reduce a fair amount. The Rams are not going to spend a lot of big dollars, but there is the ability to utilize the post-draft veteran free agent market to get guys to really fill out a roster. Special teams, rotational guys, veteran leaders, situational players, things of that nature. Well, if Cousins is going to play on a vet minimum, you have a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback as a backup. You pay him a little over $1 million, and you're able to save as much of that money. One, for what you're going to have to need for the season, but also maybe make a signing or two to really fill out this roster, depending on how they approach the draft. The Rams have set themselves up perfectly for this draft because they addressed every major need, so they can afford to go after the luxuries. Whether they want to go for quantity over quality and use picks to trade up, or if they just stick with what they got or whatever they decide to do, they will be able to be free. But because of that, they may go out and get a player that they think has a great projection, but doesn't play a position that they need to round out the room currently. That's where they go and figure out how. That's where they go into the veteran free agent market so and go and get guys that can really fill out those rosters while stacking the team with potential stars on rookie contracts. That's why I think Cousins makes a lot of sense for this situation, and that's why I think the likelihood that Kirk Cousins becomes a Rams backup right now, I would say it's about 70%. As this situation continues to unfold, I'll keep you guys updated, but that is where we are as of recording. This has been Brock Vieira for the Los Angeles Rams Insider Podcast. We'll catch y'all next time. Take care.